Feel free to ask questions along the way.
Yes. All right. Let's go. Let's let
the chat
a person in.
We've got 2 people actually. Let's do this. Alrighty, spotlight for everyone. We go.
Hi, everybody. We'll just wait for a couple more people to jump on. I know it's Friday and it's the Friday after the FIAs.
Screen on.
And actually, because there's only a few of us, maybe we'll all put our screens on so we can all see each other.
Oh, I think that would be lovely.
Yes.
Rather than talking.
We've got no note takers today.
Nice.
So it's all people.
People.
People talking about people and the planet.
People talking about people.
All right, well, let's get started then. Welcome to today's webinar, which is hosted by Quest Apartments. This is about purpose-led franchising, embedding ESG for long-term brand and business value. So today we're going to hear from Anthea Dimitrakopoulos, and she leads brand and ESG for Quest Apartments. At the FIAs, actually, on Wednesday night, Quest Apartments won the award for franchisor excellence in equality, sustainability and governance.
Hey.
So what a great topic for Anthea to be talking about today, to see how Quest achieved this and how easy it is.
I love that you said easy. I love that you said easy.
Let's not say too easy, but how you can start implementing some things. But because we've only got a few on today, please feel free to ask questions at any time of Anthea. So if you hear her say something and you say, oh, how does that work? Or, what did the franchisees think of that? Whatever question it is, please ask. So without further ado, over to Anthea.
Thank you, Helen, and to the rest of the FCA. Super humbled and grateful that we won our award. It was a real honour for us, and it further embeds our very key value system that we have as a brand. And as Helen mentioned, I'm just going to chat away. Feel free to put your hand up and ask 1,001 questions. No question is out of bounds here, and I feel that that's where we probably get the best value out of our webinars, and the ability to ask questions and learn from each other. So how about I make a start by sharing my screen? So bear with me one moment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'm assuming you can now all see this, which is fantastic. And so I can't see all of you, so please jump in if there's a question. So the purpose of the next half an hour or so is really for me just to spend some time chatting about how, as a brand, Quest Apartment Hotels has really built a purpose-led franchise network. And it really comes down to a fundamental belief system, which is that we believe a franchise brand can really do more than just deliver commercial outcomes. And yes, commercial outcomes are very important. So I'm not suggesting we don't deliver commercial outcomes, because we understand that's what we're here to do. But we also believe that a franchise brand can drive community impact, environmental progress, and a deep sense of purpose while growing a very strong and profitable network. And whilst this statement sounds really easy, it's really at the root of who we are and what we do, and how we have gotten every single stakeholder and employee along for this journey. Really proud to say that today we have really built a very strong purpose-led strategy across our 120 franchisees, and we've learned a lot along the way, and no doubt I'm going to share a fair bit of that with all of you today. And so where it all began is really taking a step back and understanding our why. and why are we in business and what are we here to do, and having some real sense of clarity. And the why is, yes, we need to be commercially savvy, but also what is our legacy as a brand and as a group? And what is it that our customers, our franchisees, and our communities really need from us? And based on our why, and then the process of starting to listen to our guests, our consumers, our franchisees, and all of the communities, we then came up with this whole purpose-led strategy. The purpose-led strategy really began in 2020, and we broke it up into different segments of planet, people, and partnerships and communities. And we started to formalize what it was that we wanted to be known for. And it started with that why. And when I say the why, I'm re-emphasizing the why in this audience. Once you understand your why, the next step was really about making sure our why really resonated with guests, franchisees, and the communities where we work, live, and play. And then making sure that everyone really understood it and got on board with it. And that's probably the tricky part, because everyone has very different values, belief systems of what they see as purpose-led. And of course, with the why, super important to bring our franchisees along on the journey. But before you bring your franchisees along for the journey, it's really important that the senior leadership team is on board and really understands the purpose-led strategy. And that's from our managing director, David Mansfield, to all the different general managers managing the different business units that touch our franchisees, from our procurement teams to our operational staff to how we go about building the buildings and so forth. And so once we got that buy-in as a senior leadership team and really understood its purpose, we then started the whole journey about bringing our franchisees on board. And this journey is an ongoing journey, and I don't believe you ever get there. I believe you continue to work on it and it continues to evolve. So it's not something where you say, yay, we've done it and it's done. It's something that continues to evolve as a group. And it's spending a lot of time going through roadshows and educating our franchisees on why our purpose-led strategy really adds value to the business. And that involved a lot of training, a lot of discussion, and setting aside a whole bunch of activities that we as a group wanted to deliver on. And we packaged that up with our ESG program called Quest for a Cause. And now you'll also be able to see it on our website with a specific page that we've set up called Doing Better. And I encourage all of you, when you get a moment, to click onto questapartmenthotels.com.au. And when you hop onto our website, you'll see a tab up the top that says Doing Better. And when you click onto that, you'll see all of our purpose-led strategies. And so we set a whole bunch of tasks that we wanted to do as a group and started to train all of our franchisees through an education process. And the goal really, the goal was to bring everyone on board with us. Today, if you have a look at this purple box here that I've got, we just completed our franchisee sentiment survey and we got this score. 100% of our franchisees agree, I feel proud of our brand and our reputation. And going through this process over the last 5 years is giving us these types of scores, which is absolutely fantastic. Our franchisees are feeling proud of the brand and our reputation because not only are we strong commercially, we're also strong in the purpose-led, and we're demonstrating that you don't need to do one at the sacrifice of the other. You don't need to make profits at the sacrifice of being purpose-led, and you don't need to be purpose-led at the sacrifice of not getting profits. And that is such a real credit for us as a group, because now we have the 200 odd franchisees working with us in delivering a purpose-led strategy.
Strong message, Anthea. It's a
Yeah,
strong message.
it's a strong message because our franchisees are telling us this, and it's above benchmark for other franchise groups. It's a really strong message. And I love that you said that, Helen. It's not only a strong message with our franchisees, it's also a strong message with our consumers. One of the big goals that we're working towards is becoming one of the most loved brands within Australia. And we know that we're on a bit of a 5-year journey to be able to get ourselves there. And our consumers, every time we are surveying them, are telling us that we are standing out in market because of our purpose-led strategy. And it's also resonating with our consumers. And the more consumers you can get staring at your brand, activating your brand, staying with your brand if you're an accommodation supplier or if you're in retail, because of what you stand for, then it's a win-win. And that's a way to make it real for franchisees. So was that a question?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. So it ties into this next slide here. So a purpose-led strategy isn't just good for communities, it's also good for business. And so our consumers are resonating with what we're doing, and hence we're getting repeat business and new people staring at the brand and staying with us. Commercially, we are very sound. And for us in the hotel space, we often measure our occupancy. Not often, we always measure our occupancy, our average room rates, and how the profit and how all of our franchisees are performing. And we're continuing to see a very positive growth year on year because our consumers are loving the brand. And so it is good for business. What we will talk about, purpose that also does cost the business. That's a reality as well. And we will talk about that in a moment. Cantor is a group that we use to do a lot of our research. And the brands who are purpose-led, their brand valuation grows overnight. And so it's not just the commercial, it's the purpose-led brands continue to grow in their brand valuations. And of course, which franchisee doesn't want the valuation of the brand and their property to grow? So it makes good business sense. 76% of Australians, without a doubt, prefer purpose-driven brands. Once you remove all of the noise that happens with brands, and if you look at accommodation as an example for my particular segment, at the end of the day, they're all hotels selling a room. When you unpack it, right? At the end of the day, it's a hotel, it's got a room, and people want to come and stay at that room. We've all got Wi-Fi's, we've all got pretty beds, comfortable beds, we've all got the amenities that suit the guest's need. But what is it that really differentiates my brand from the next box hotel? And to some degree, it will be the Wi-Fi. To some degree, it will be the decor. But the reality is we're now finding the next generation of consumer that's coming through that's looking at all of the brands and going, I actually want to stay and support the brand that stands up for something. And that's that purpose-led strategy. And that's how you attract new customers and also keep your existing customers with loyalty. For us, without a doubt, since we've started this journey 5 years ago, our consumer trust and our booking direct rates are continuing to rise, even in challenging markets. It doesn't mean that if a market is depressed or challenged that we won't see a drop there, but overall we're seeing a very strong consumer trust and booking direct rates. And consumer trust is not easy to secure. And this is why purpose matters. So it's a great commercial decision for brand value and for property Quest property valuations, as well as it's great for the communities in which we serve. So it's a double win. I just want to highlight some of the things that we do to walk you through it. So, as an example, we've partnered with the Sony Foundation where we support youth, regional youth who have been diagnosed with cancer. And what we do in that space is our Quest franchisees offer the rooms up for these families and individuals to come and stay free of charge. And since we started this program, we have given 27,000 nights. And I raise this because not only am I proud of the fact that our Quest franchisees have given up 27,000 room nights, I'm really proud because they have done it for free. And where a franchisee today could sell their room night for $300 a night, they are saying, I will take a Sony Foundation family for the next 3 months and look after them and not take that $300 a room night. I mean, that is powerful. That shows the franchisee engagement. We have franchisees who go above and beyond in helping families. And when we talk about these families, we're talking about an ordinary family who's living in regional Australia, and one day their child is diagnosed with cancer. Mum and dad, or mum and mum, or mum or dad are working in that regional area, and that child needs to come into town to get the health care that they need. And what tends to happen is a lot of families can't afford to actually go with their child into the cities and to support them because they have to still stay and work. And by knowing that their child is staying in a Quest apartment hotel and being looked after their treatment, just takes another pressure off that family member. And our franchisees are doing this day in, day out. And it gets me quite emotional to think that helping the communities especially when our consumers or these families are at their worst. The other thing I want to raise is the Housing All Australians partnership that we have. So Sony Foundation and Housing All Australians were probably our very first, and they were championed by our Managing Director, David Mansfield. And with Housing All Australians, it's really about the advocacy work that we are doing for vulnerable women. And there's the largest cohort of homelessness is women over 55 in Australia today. It's kind of a silent pandemic, living in their cars because they are homeless and don't have housing. And there's a lot of work that we do in this space in advocacy. There's a lot of work that we do in this space in repurposing our furniture and putting them into homes that Housing All Australians have found in conjunctions with the Salvation Army, as an example, and creating safe spaces for women to come and stay. And so we're really proud of that partnership. Recently, we've also partnered with Food Bank. And supporting families who can't afford food. It's another silent pandemic in Australia where there's a lot of children who are sent to school without breakfast. Brianna, the CEO, when she came and visited us at our corporate office, mentioned you can tell if you've got a food issue in your corporate office if you find that the bread and the butter moves very quickly, and that you have to constantly replace the bread and the bread. That means there are a lot of people who come in and go without food so their children can eat and eat whatever food's in the lunchroom. And that kind of shocked me to think that the country that we're living in today, we've still got family people and individuals who can't afford to eat at home and are relying on office food. And you'll notice that, especially when you do catering, if all of that catering disappears, it's because a lot of the folk in the office aren't eating at home. So it's a powerful partnership that we have in that space, which is really exciting. And also another one that we've got is Project Net Zero, which is our first First Nations partnership, where we're looking to repurpose all of our furniture. So when we do massive refurbishments of our Quest apartment hotels, which we tend to do every 3 years, that furniture traditionally would get either repurposed to a local charity or it'd end up in landfill. And that's the reality. I mean, intent was always good to put it to the local charity, but the bulk of it was always going into landfill. Project Net Zero picks up all of our furniture and repurposes it to communities in need. And recently, we worked with them for one of our new properties in Melbourne, Life on Elizabeth, where all of that furniture was repurposed to a community that needed it. Franchisees, Quest for a Cause is what we call our program, and love that our franchisees are just leading the way in all of the work that they are doing in their communities. We have this amazing franchisee, Mark O'Shea, who's created these amazing golf days. And he started this journey a year ago, and now we're having golf days in not only Melbourne, in Sydney, in Brisbane, and soon to be in Perth, where all of our franchisees get together and invite a whole bunch of guests and create a whole bunch of fun with a whole view of raising funds. It was for the Sony Foundation and for the TKC Foundation, but also for a whole bunch of local communities in need. And that just shows how committed our franchisees are into supporting their local communities. From Quest Orange, for the meals that they recently did for RMHH families, and a whole bunch of other different Quest for a Cause initiatives that they are doing in that space. Overarching programs that we do as a group, we met with Hotel for Trees, and we love this. We've planted 13,000 trees. And on Monday, we're off as a senior leadership team and a whole bunch of our properties in Port Melbourne to plant some more. And with Hotel for Trees and our partnership, we get our guests to get involved. And if our guests choose to skip a room clean, we will go off and plant a tree on their behalf with the money that we've saved in skipping that room clean. This is not only good for the environment in planting the trees, it's also a great thing in carbon emissions with the constant cleaning up of towels, washing of towels and linen. So it's a bit of a win-win. Bulk amenities, we've worked very diligently to remove all the single-use plastics. You know, you go into hotels and it's all those little plastic bottles. With the work that we've done in our hotels, we've eliminated about 1.5 million bottles of plastics, which is really good for the environment. We've still got a fair bit of work to do in reducing more amenities in that space with plastic, but we're well and truly on our way. We've also partnered with Soap Aid, and we've got little soaps that we use in certain areas because we have yet to introduce a bulk amenity soap. Soap Aid comes and collects them, recycles them very healthily, and puts them back into communities in need. And of course, I've chatted to you about Project Net Zero, which is this whole circular economy about furniture reuse and saving it from going into landfill. So I guess I'm just sharing these to show you there's a whole bunch of initiatives that a brand can take on, that you as the brand managers can take on and implement for your franchisees. And then there's a whole bunch of initiatives that your franchisees can do in their local area to drive all of this through. Also want to touch on diversity and equity. I think diversity and equity is super important. We talk a lot about diversity. It's really important equity. Equity is a really important key message here because it's not about having just a diverse team. It's also about having diverse thinking in our team. There's no point of just having a team with females or anyone who identifies as a female if there's no diverse thinking in that team. A really important note for all of us as we move forward. It's really important that diversity and equity is considered in our strategies and in our teams. And the biggest benefit of that is our consumers are diverse. And if everyone that has a seat at the table all looks and thinks the same, then the brand will never grow. So we've spent a fair bit of time doing a lot of education and training to get everybody across that. And in turn, we're really proud of the HR strategies that we've implemented to really allow people to be themselves and to flourish at work. And from introducing menopause leave, and I love that we talk about menopause leave. I love that at a senior leadership table, I can quite comfortably say, I'm having a hot flush. Can someone please help me here? I love that we're trying to get rid of that stigma, which just simply means that the next generation of leaders coming through are empowered just to be themselves and to be recognised for what they're going through at their stage of life. I love the fact that we've got period care and we talk about period care, and that's normalised within the Quest brand. We also do International Women's Days events, which we're really proud of. And the bit that I'm really proud of with our International Women's Day events is that we get our emerging leaders to stand up and run those sessions. One of the scariest things to do is to stand up and do public speaking, and often that holds a lot of people behind in moving into leadership roles. And we're very keen in allowing our people to get up, be themselves, even if they mumble through the words, not particularly fussed, to give it a go and run a really amazing event for International Women's Day. Spent a lot of time looking at pride and diversity. We had a very strong partnership with ACON to really help us understand how to make sure that all of our people feel seen. So that's super exciting. And of course, we spend a lot of time making sure that we are supporting women-owned brands and elevating those brands. We've introduced this magical sleep spray in the Quest brand. That's a woman-owned brand, and you'll hear more about that when you follow our socials and, of course, on our Doing Better page on the website. The other big partnership team, and I'm just chatting away, so if anyone wants to ask a question, please free to jump in, put your hand up. The other key thing that we've spent a lot of time over the last 2 years is making sure that we're creating spaces for inclusive travel. It makes no sense that if you're in a wheelchair that you can't stay and travel. This makes no sense. We've spent a lot of time working with Accessible Australia. Kerry Williams is the founder there, a female founder of Accessible Australia, where we educated and trained all of our staff on how to be inclusive in the accessible space. And we created a playbook for all of our franchisees where they can look at their rooms, their accessible rooms, and make sure that they actually meet the needs of someone in a wheelchair, as an example. The senior leadership team spent a day in a wheelchair and went through our properties in a wheelchair. And whilst we aren't permanently in wheelchairs and we can't permanently speak on behalf of people in wheelchairs, it certainly was an eye-opener from being able to get through the front door, being able to open the door of a hotel room, to be able to go into the shower and to try and use the soap dispenser. And that one exercise alone, as well as all the work that we've done with Kerry Williams and Accessible Australia, has really changed our thinking about how we set up our accessible rooms and how we serve our customers. And really, really proud of the work our Quest franchisees have done. We have 98% of our staff now officially trained. I say 98% because of the movement in staff, so that continues to move and evolve. And we've got properties who are Tier 3 accessible rated, and asking all of our properties, we've got 86 of them at the moment who are accredited in the accessible space, which is super exciting. I will share with you some of our partnerships. We've got the Cronulla Sharks partnership, which is really exciting for us. And you may all look at me and say, but why would you partner with Cronulla Sharks? It's full of men's games athletes, yeah. Yeah, is that you, Helen, smiling?
Yep, that was me.
Yeah. Oh, that was you. Yeah, and we partnered with them because of their Sharks Have Heart community program. And what an amazing program that they've got that really relates to the community and how we're helping in that space. But also, we are front of shirt sponsors for the women's team. We're the back of short sponsors for the men's team, but we're the front of jersey sponsorship of the women's team. And we are really proud to be able to support female athletes and to give them the support that they need to be able to play this game. So that's very, it's a great partnership. We're very aligned with our community and the work that we do in that space. We've also got Kate Campbell. For those of you who know her, she's our brand ambassador, and she is the Olympic swimmer. And we love her because she shares her insights in leadership, resilience, and grit. And we do a lot of podcasts with her where she shares with us her intel, an absolutely brilliant brand ambassador. And I guess it's a real key message for anybody that's watching the brand to see a very strong, capable a woman as Kate Campbell, to see our Cronulla Sharks women's team. And I guess what we're trying to do is show the next generation that these are very strong and capable women, and you can as well. So very proud of that. And of course, the recognition that comes with that for our franchisees. I mean, the award that we were presented with from the FCA is just a testament to our franchisees. Very proud of it. The table of franchisees that we're sitting with are very proud of the work that we're doing in this space. And that in turn gives us very strong franchisee engagement and also very strong brand engagement, which is really important. And so, how you can start, a real simple 4 steps. I say simple. Um, it always sounds easy when it's done, right? So, when you're standing up on stage, when you're accepting the award, it always sounds easy. But there's a lot of work that you've got to do. You've got to align purpose with what your franchisees care about. And you have to make it operational and not optional. And this is the tricky part, right? It can't be optional. You can't be half in. And you have to empower your franchisees to lead this. And if you empower your franchisees to lead this, it becomes theirs rather than what corporate office is pushing. But of course, it's where the brand stands. And then you've got to be able to track your impact and you have to evolve it over time. And that comes back to my statement that this is a journey. It's not a destination. This will continue to evolve over time. And so when we come back to number 1, align purpose with what franchisees care about, that's why Quest for a Cause is so powerful, because you have the brand purpose-led strategy, and then we encourage our franchisees to do it in the local level with the local communities where they work, serve and play. And what can happen is that sometimes the brand will align with a purpose strategy that an individual franchisee may not agree with. Because we're all different. We've all got very different belief systems. And from a brand perspective, we're not asking any of our franchisees to change their mind on what they believe in. We're not. I'm not asking anyone to agree with a particular purpose-led that they don't believe in, but I am asking for them to follow the brand. Happy to chat about that if anyone wants to raise that as a question. No? Okay. So really important that I'm not seeking to change anyone's thinking. But what I am seeking to do is to provide different viewpoints to our purpose-led strategy and to bring different people with lived-in experience to tell their story. for our purpose-led strategy. I don't have any lived-in experience in being in a wheelchair, so I can't change your thinking in that space. And I actually don't want to change your thinking in that space because I can't speak on someone's behalf in that space. And so when we went down the accessible process, in all of our training, we brought people in with lived-in experience to tell us how they felt. That's my goal as a franchisor. If my franchisees walked out of that and understood that, that's absolutely brilliant. If I had a franchisee who walked out of that and still didn't agree that they needed to do something different, that was more about them. And my role wasn't to make them roll. My role is to go, well, maybe I need to give you different experiences for you to understand it in a different way rather than trying to make them wrong. When you're going down the purpose-led strategy, everyone will have an opinion. But we know that anyway, because anything that we do from a brand perspective, everyone's got an opinion, right? The role is not to get upset if someone has a different opinion to you. The only way we can move forward with purpose-led is if we all respect each other's differences, and we've all got very different backgrounds and upbringings and very different needs. And that's okay if we're different. But our role as the franchisor implementing purpose-led is to bring in all the folk with a lived-in experience to explain it. Like at our recent International Women's Day in our corporate office, we had key women who identify as females stand up and talk about their experiences in past corporate offices and how one particular statement that someone made impacted them and how they felt about that. It was such a powerful session for everyone in the room because everyone walked away and said, oh, I didn't know that. I mean, one young lady explained she was at a brand new franchisee session, and there were all these new franchisees, and she had to introduce someone, and she had a hot flush. And she went beetroot red and began to sweat and forgot all her words. And a colleague came up to her and said, this is in another work environment, and said, have you had too much to drink? And by her sharing just that one example, because it was a lived in experience, everybody in that room went, oh my, I probably would have said that to you too. Did you have too much to drink? And it was just another reminder to all of us that when we're introducing purpose-led, we're all different. We all have very different points of views about a whole bunch of social issues. Not here to make anyone right or wrong. We're here just to tell the story of the folk with lived in and to move with compassion and kindness. It's all about being seen and heard and understanding each other. And when you set the scene, your franchisees buy into that. If you set the scene to make franchisees wrong for different belief systems, your journey will take longer. You'll eventually get there, but it will take longer. And when you get that buy-in and you make it operational, not optional, and you work with your franchisees, magic happens. And empowering them is allowing them to feel safe, seen and heard, and to ask the questions that they want to ask without any judgment about the purpose-led strategies that we're moving towards. And then, of course, the last one is you certainly have to track the impact that you're making, and that is being with the right research company to go off and chat with your consumers to make sure that your purpose-led strategy is actually working in market. And it's not what the brand people want. It's not what one individual wants. It's really about what are your consumers wanting to be purpose-led? What are the topical issues? And off you go. So as a brand, we always lean into the minority. We're very keen to support and help the minority and raise an awareness with the minority. And whenever you lean into the minority, you also get a lot of people who don't agree with you. And so I'm just going to go back a second if I can. And I think I've jumped. Yep, of course I have. Do you think I know how to do this, folk? I'll just go back. Just bear with me. Yeah, it's always the case. I just want to stay, but I'm pleased that I can actually do this because normally I would have looked at you all and gone, oh my God, I've lost my way. I just want to stay on this and say greenwashing is a big issue. And so when you empower your franchisees, they are directors of their own companies. And we do have mandatory reporting that's coming for us, and we sit in category 3 and are working our way through that. One of the biggest concerns that we have from a brand is if our franchisees publish that they're doing this amazing purpose-led strategy, and yet it doesn't marry up with what they say they're going to do, which is a greenwashing issue. So we've also empowered our franchisees with training and educating them on this particular topic. But also, I'm not sure how everyone else runs their brand socials, but making sure that anything that goes out from a purpose-led strategy out on any of the socials is approved and checked by the brand marketing team. And so that's something that each brand custodian that's listening to this today needs to make sure that they have some really robust checks in place to make sure that a franchisee is not saying X but really doing Y, because the brand reputation, as we all know, is the impact, but also the fines that come with greenwashing is a big issue when it comes to purpose-led strategy. We do regional meetings, we do sales and marketing meetings, we have sales-based camps, and we also have a Quest conference. And all of these key messages are consistently reiterated at those forums, as well as our internal comms, which is a system which we call Quest Concierge, where we can continuously communicate with our franchisees. So empowering them with a very strong brand guardrails around what we're empowering for our franchisees to be able to say publicly on our channels. Is there any questions on that one? No? Okay, for someone who didn't think I was going to talk for so long. Some of the things that are next, our carbon emissions, we're working our way through making sure that we manage carbon measurements, our energy bills, and making sure that we've got them all in the right system and they're trackable, working our way through that. More inclusive recruitment for the group, ESG performance built into our KPIs. We've got to be able to track the good work that we are doing, to be able to demonstrate that, especially as we're now moving into mandatory reporting, and that now needing to be disclosed. My final thought, purpose isn't a campaign. This is not a campaign that we're doing today, tomorrow. It's just our culture. It's who we are. It's now embedded in our culture where everything we do is about ensuring that whoever touches our brand is seen and heard for who they are and they feel safe. It goes deep into our procurement processes, about the folk that we choose to partner with, modern slavery, making sure that their supply chains are clean. Not easy to do, but it's become a culture for us as a group where everything is making sure that it's purpose-led. So for us in franchising, culture is driven by people who care. We provide really good training, tools, and trust, and purpose becomes a business driver rather than a campaign. And so really proud that the group here, the Quest group, is delivering a purpose-led culture. And for us, it's really about onwards and upwards with a lot of gratitude about and the privilege that we have to be able to make a difference in the communities and with our local partners. I think that's it really. My last slide. Happy to learn. Yep, happy to learn. Happy for anyone to reach out, brainstorm and collaborate. I think the beauty of these webinars with the FCA is our opportunity to really learn from each other and get best practice. So happy to collaborate, share and chat some more. So thank
Excellent.
you.
Thank you, Anthea. I do have a question that I think some people might be thinking, even with the recording. Cantor
Yeah, Cantor Research, yeah.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about that and how someone can get, sort of involved from that part of it?
So it's a research company that we use.
Yep.
And happy to share the key contact there.
Yep.
And so they go off and survey our consumers. And we traditionally have done it twice a year. We've now moved to once a year. And they go off and ask a whole bunch of questions. And based on what our consumers say, we're not based on what, so the consumer feedback then allows us to work through our purpose-led strategy. Yeah. I highly encourage. Yeah, I highly encourage that every franchisor, every decision we are making should be based on the consumer. Yeah, because I mean I'm gonna say the bleeding obvious here is that without the customer, then you don't have a business. Yeah, and we all know that the business environment is changing rapidly. The different consumer is coming. We all know AI is changing the way we're interacting with our consumers or how the consumer is going to interact with us. We all have to be ahead of what our consumers are wanting from a brand. And if you think it's what Anthea wants, then it's not good business strategy. We always say this, what is it that our customers want? Who are our customers and what do they want from the brand? And then so Cantor is a research company that we use that helps us do that. We've used them for all of our campaign work because we're heading towards becoming one of the most loved brands in Australia. Any pieces of paper or ad or any comms that we put out, we go and check with them and say, check with our consumers and tell us what they think. So it's just another team member. Yeah.
Right, that's good. Yeah, well, that I'm sure that helps a few people think about where to start.
Yeah,
as well. You know, with who to start with. I mean, there's probably lots of companies that do that, but if you're using Cantor and it's working so well for you, then we'll share the details with everyone. Does anyone have any other questions? We did have someone that had to jump off early, so they'll be watching the rest of the recording. It's Quiet Friday today.
I will just comment. I really liked what you said about it's operational, not optional.
Yeah.
I think that purpose-led comes through then. If we make it optional, people just won't do it. Actually, it doesn't matter what you're talking about, actually. Yeah. If it's actually a great point.
Yeah, if you make anything optional, everyone's got really good intent, right? There's no one with good intent, but then guess what happens? You come into the office, then you have this crisis over there, then you have that crisis over there, and then before you know it, we're all looking at each other going, Merry Christmas, where did the year go?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? I mean, that's what happens in franchising, right? We'll all wake up one day and just go, oh my. It's got to be operational.
It's got to be a part of your operations. Yeah.
And it's got to be a part of your culture. Like when you're onboarding franchisees, when you're telling them the story about your brand, it's got to be more than just a commercial, because commercial without purpose-led is short-term. And the brand is here for the long term, not the short term. Yeah. And your consumers want purpose-led. That's what differentiates you. I mean, I could talk about this for hours.
Yeah. Yes, we know that.
I love it. Absolute pleasure.
I think, have we got another question, Vanessa? I think Vanessa Wilmot's on here. Did you have a question, Vanessa?
Hi,
you
Vanessa.
You can actually...
Hi.
Just
Hi, Vanessa.
Vanessa. Yep.
How's it going?
It's good, Vanessa.
Happy
Friday. Happy Friday.
Thank you so much, Anthea. I was just saying, I love your approach and Quest's approach to openly discuss and normalise things that in the past may have been seen as sensitive or taboo sort of topics to do with periods and menstrual leave and all that sort of thing. Yeah. How do you go about, I guess, changing that within your organisation, or what tips would you sort of provide on that? Because I guess there's still an element in some organisations where, you know, it still could be seen as a bit taboo or sensitive. So what would your advice on that be?
My advice would be, and it's a great question, Vanessa, because I will never forget the first time I said periods on stage and saw half the audience just squirm and all of a sudden pick up their mobile phone and find something really interesting. My first response is that, Vanessa, you've just got to normalise within you that people are uncomfortable. Yep, you've just got to accept that people are uncomfortable with this topic and it's okay. Yeah. So if people look at me funny and squirm, it's okay. But it's an education piece. It's sitting down with a team. So let's assume the senior leadership team, and saying, we need to talk about this and normalise it, because half of the women back there are all going to become menopausal. And most of us have our periods, and we come to work and it's really about encouraging diversity and equity. Yeah. And if we're serious about diversity and equity and not just some stat numbers to just clap at, we've really got to address the issues that affect people. And comfortably saying, these are what's coming our way, and putting training in place so for managers, so when a staff member says, I'm experiencing this, they have the words to be able to overcome it. But also, Vanessa, creating a safe space for people to ask questions like, what is menopause? What do you mean you're going to have a hot flush? What do you mean you're going to forget everybody's names midway through a conversation or when you're up for a presentation? What do you mean? What do you mean you're going to take your jacket off 500 times because now you're hot and now you're cold? It's that. And finding
Love it.
finding educational pieces to share. So training videos to show the impact and what that means. But I think the key, Vanessa, is knowing that people are uncomfortable and it's okay. But having the courage, Vanessa, and if it's just you and your organisation, to be the first person to say it. And feeling comfortable with it. I'm not sure if I've answered your question, but
yes,
it takes
okay.
It takes a step of courage, and if someone makes you wrong, it is okay. So it's not just period care and menopause that you'll get people staring at you funny. There's a whole bunch of social issues when the brand leans in that people will say, well, why are you bothering with that? Yeah, it's okay. It's okay to be different.
Great question, Vanessa, and thank you, Anthea. You answered that as someone that has actually addressed it many, many times and confidently. So I just want to thank Anthea for being here today.
Thank you.
We've all got a lot on, as we know. She was at the FIAs on Wednesday night. She has a sick family as well.
That's good.
And, a whole business out there that is doing incredible work. And it's no coincidence, really, that Quest Apartments is not only a member of the FCA, but they're now a platinum partner of the FCA. So what that means for all of us is that we now have an accommodation partner that is there to look after us when we travel.
Love that.
So watch this space. Lots more information coming out about Quest Apartments. And thank you, Anthea, for today. And I look forward to seeing the few people that were on today, definitely on our next webinar, mentoring webinar, which is at the end of July. So watch this space, and thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. We just need a thank you from Serena, and we're 100%.
Everyone said thank you.
I love it. It's really good. Thank you, guys.
So thank you very much, everyone, and thank you, Anthea.
Oh,
Bye from everyone.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, Serena.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye,
Bye,
Serena.
Serena.
Thank you.